Good morning. Went out last night to a rockabilly show. I look like shit. Just kidding. Am I? Today is the day. I don't have the yellow shirt of maintenance on. You have to forgive any maintenance mistakes that I make. The yellow shirt of maintenance typically allows me to bypass all those. So, got several things. I've got a box. I got a couple boxes from Amazon here. One of them has burp kit, a no spill funnel that I think is going to work better than the one that I tried last week. I ended up returning that one. Then I've got a bunch of accessories. Might not do that today. That's the mount kit, the double ram ball mount kit with a cup holder. Got new speakers for my Cena. I did order the Neotech helmet, and I got a hell of a deal. So it shipped on this past Tuesday, I think, so that should be in soon. Everything's coming together. And then finally, we got new radiators and hoses. So that's what we are doing today. Just went out and about on the town to grab some last minute shits, things, tools, whatever. My brain is toast from last night's drinking adventures, but let's get started doing this maintenance. Hopefully we can knock this out relatively quickly. All right, so got this hose off, which has 3 points. That's one on each radiator and one into the water pump. We're gonna take this ground wire off and disconnect this plug. I'm gonna put the drain plug back in the water pump so I can start taking this radiator off. Okay, small snag. So this is a little bit more of a pain in the ass than I was led to believe. So there's a little bypass tube. You see the little nub of it coming out. It's from one radiator to the other. And man, that thing is a real bear to get to. That's what's holding these radiators on right now, is a little tube catching on the frame. But I also don't know that I'm going to change the radiator hoses. And I know there's the philosophy of, you're already in there, you already have the hoses, just do it. And that's really tugging at me. But I mean, God, I just don't know that I have the patience and the wherewithal to do it. I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep trying to get these radiators off, and then we'll make a game time decision. Right now, I just gotta get this little bypass hose off. That I've got to change because that thing looks pretty crusty. The other two hoses don't look that bad actually, so we'll see what we end up doing. Okay, well, we got the radiators off. I leaned in heavily on the fact that the little bypass tube was dry rotted, so I just pulled it until. Problem with that is I've got to still get the other one on, but I think I'll figure it out. I might sit here for a little while, but I'll figure it out. Okay, accidental stopping point. I started recording some of this maintenance this morning, and then I quickly realized that I didn't want to. So I was getting frustrated a little bit. I'm like, you know what? I'm not trying to keep up with this camera. The radiator and the hoses weren't difficult, really, at all. I mean, there were some challenges, but I'm gonna tell you what pissed me off with these fucking fans, man. Getting these fans back in. This one is not really in. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Fuck it, I can't deal with it. It was pissing me off, couldn't get it in there. I was cracking the housing, screw it. I do have a little bit of a leak after I replaced everything, but I don't know if it's a leak or not because I'm over this thing, man. Because I did refill coolant system, whatever, and I did spill quite a bit, so maybe it's just stuff coming at the bottom, you know, leaking down. I moved the towel out of the way so I can kind of guesstimate how much coolant's coming out of there, so I can say if it's make an educated guess on it's a leak or not. So I was going to burp it, and my key was on for this whole week. So I just tested the battery. I'm at 8 millivolts. I got nothing. So I can't, so I'm going to put it on the tender and let it get up to 12 volts or something, but may jump it to see if we can get it to start, but literally the battery's completely dead, so I don't know how it's going to work, but kind of bummed. Things didn't go as smoothly as I wanted them to. I mean, do they ever? But I guess good news is all those parts are new. Anyway, I'm going to move my Triumph out of the way, see if we can jump start this pig and see if she leaks. Let's say day 2 of this debacle, but I've been dealing with this coolant thing for so long. I think it might actually be carrying on longer than the old fork seal conversation. But so I gotta drain some of this back out. I'm really getting tired of working on this, and I'm gonna show you what's going on here. So this fan, I'm having a real hard time getting it back in there, and my initial thought was it's so lodged in there right now that I was just gonna leave it, but I can't, because this side fairing has this cutout or this insert that goes into there, and I can't put it all the way in while that's out. So I'm pretty sure, I'm 99.9% sure the reason that fan is not going all the way in, it's already kind of a nightmare to get in there because this side has a lot of wires. The other side doesn't have that many wires, so it's not that difficult over there. But over here, the upper coolant hose was too long. The new one, way too long. But I put it on there anyway. And what that did was that caused it to come out of the radiator and kind of make this big elbow that it's not supposed to have. 99.9% sure that's what's causing it. And when I looked at it yesterday while it was all apart, I said to myself, trim that and make it the right length. Do it right, my dude. But I didn't do it. And now you pay for the decisions that you make, good, bad, or indifferent. So I got to drain some of this coolant back out of there to get the level below that line. Take that hose off on this end, trim it, put it back on, and see if I can get this fucking fan back in there. I am abusing this fan. I kind of feel bad for it. I cracked the housing yesterday. I should have just taken a step back from it and came back to it today instead of trying to force it in there, because I was getting pretty pissed off. And that's a good way to fuck up shit that's going to be hard to replace. So I'm not going to record the maintenance today, really, because I've been frustrated with it so much. I really don't want to capture that on camera. So we're going to get this thing fixed. We'll catch up in a little bit. And yeah, we'll see you then. One way or the other, baby, we're gonna get some riding in. So I'm in a much better mood than I was yesterday, and I'm on my way to Lowe's to pick up a couple odds and ends so I can wrap this project up on the Goldwing. I'm going to show you a little more in detail when we get back, but I'm going to Lowe's because I need 2 screws that I had. Basically, I got my fan to go back in, and that was my biggest worry, was I couldn't get the fan to go back in. I was pissed off. I was trying to shove it in there. I was starting to crack the housing, and finally I gave up and quit for the day. But I thought last night, hey, you know what? I'm just going to leave it like it is and fuck it, but I can't. Got to push it back in there. But in my anger yesterday, I threw away that hardware. I went out to the trash can a few minutes ago to see, let me pull that bag out, but nah, it's already buried underneath like 3 or 4 more bags. It's not really all that important that I have that hardware. So I took one from the other side, slapped it on the side I'm working on to make sure it was the exact same size. It is. So I brought this screw with me. We're going to get a couple of those screws from Lowe's. And then the ground, I'm getting an electrical connector for the ground post that goes on the radiator. The new radiator hole is a lot bigger than the other one for that. So the old connector is a little too small. I cut it and tried to make like a little U out of it to fit on there, but I really don't trust that. And if I'm coming all the way up to the store anyway, like I don't want the ground to rattle loose, basically. So if I'm coming up here anyway, I just might as well get a connector that's going to be the right diameter for this screw post. Coincidentally, it's the same exact screw that I can take into, that I can use for the fans. Yeah, I'm wearing shorts today too, so the whole world can see my bright, shiny ass legs. But it's nice enough out where I can do that. There's enough chill in the air to where it feels cool while I'm riding. Now when I'm standing there in the sun next to my driveway, it's a little warm, but that's just how it is, at least down in Florida. What is it? 79 degrees out. I really wanted to be on the Goldwing coming out and about. Whew. Man, I love this motorcycle. But since it's not done yet and the battery's still charging, doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. But somebody brought up a good point. They messaged me and said, does a tender charge a dead battery? I was under the impression that it didn't, and he's right. And when it was below 4 volts, it was just flashing, letting me know that it wasn't charging. I jump started that bike with my wife's car and got it over 4 volts, started using the tender on it, and it's solid red light now, which means it is charging. But now I'm starting to question, because it's been on there for 22 hours, you know, what's going on with this thing. Anyway, let's get into Lowe's. Let's get the things we need. It's just right up here on the right. When we get back to the house, I'm going to show you what I did to make that fan fit.
I had to cut part of that radiator hose like I suspected I was going to have to, and I swear taking all that apart, cutting it, putting it back together was less than 15 minutes. I gave myself at least an hour and a half of stress yesterday. Again, avoiding shit that I didn't need to avoid. It's so dumb, the things we do to ourselves, trying to save a little bit of time, we end up just spending more time.
All right, let me show you what I did here. So I had to cut off this much, and for a pre-shaped hose, that's quite a bit. I don't like that I kind of got this little divot, but anyway, then as I was putting it in, I thought, oh, it's still a little tight. So all I did was disconnect this and move this around. In other words, just be a little more patient than me. As I said earlier, that tender's still going crazy, and I'm pretty sure it's charging. But to eliminate any doubt, let's measure the volts on this thing. I wasn't questioning it, since the lights are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Allegedly. On the tender, like my micro wrestling shirt. All right, it's on volts. See what we got, boys. Okay, see 11.7 volts. So it's charging. So somebody said it wasn't charging, or they didn't think it was charging, and I'm already up to here, so I feel pretty good about that. What I'm gonna do then is, while I finish putting these other bolts in and putting that new electrical connector on the ground wire, I'm gonna let this charge. And then I'm going to fill this coolant up, fire it up, because it'll fire up on 11.73 volts, no problem. I got no problem with that. So we'll see when we get to that point.
Alright, boys. Hopefully this is the final chapter of the Coolant Saga. So we've got a road trip in 3 days from today. Oh, damn, this is rough. I'm pretty sure I got the coolant figured out. Pretty sure. And yesterday I went on a test ride after I figured I had it figured out, and everything seemed to be working perfectly. Came back, let it run until the fans came on, let it go through a couple fan cycles. It cooled off just fine. Waited after the engine cooled down, watched the coolant levels in both the radiator and the reservoir. Everything looks totally fine. Something I didn't do yesterday was ride it around at speed for a while. I did get it up to operating temperature when I went to get gas for it, and then when I came back in the driveway, that's when I let it get up to where the fans came on. I was telling Jack that everything seemed to be working all right, and he recommended, hey, I'd put a few more miles on it just to be sure. And you know what? Not a bad idea. So that's what friends are for, right? To make sure they try to help fill in the gaps sometimes if you don't think everything through. So it's my lunch break right now on Tuesday, February 22nd, I believe. And I'm just going to take it up the highway at highway speeds for a little bit, make sure it stays in that operating temperature range. So yeah, we're just gonna get up here. I'm gonna get on the highway. I'm gonna get on the expressway, actually, the toll road. Usually north of here there's not any traffic, so I should be able to maintain highway speeds for a little while just to really check this thing out and make sure it's good to go. I want to make sure it's cycling correctly, and then when we get back back home, I'll let it cool off and I'll check the levels again, and if everything's still fine, then job's done, baby. I'm pretty confident that everything's okay. You guys are on this ride with me. It's a road of discovery together, so I don't know if this is going to fail or not. We're going to figure this out right now, though. So if we fail and I include this in the video, then we're all going to learn that I failed together. Hell yeah, boys. Alright, on the Veterans Expressway. I didn't bring my watch, but it's about 80 degrees out today, maybe 81, 82. The Tampa weather report brought to you by Mike Branch Rides. This is probably about the weather it's going to be on Friday when we head up to St. Augustine. And for those who don't know, a few of us, I think 6 of us, are heading up to St. Augustine for the weekend. Going to be similar to the Savannah trip. Just go up there on Friday, hang out until Sunday morning, and then head back Sunday. It's going to be me, Jack, Colleen, Two Wheel Terror, Taz HD, Aaron, Vices of a Viking, and I believe his old lady, Heidi, otherwise known as Hottie, are all going to be meeting up. I'm looking forward to it, and Up until yesterday, well, up until this weekend, you know, I was just going to St. Augustine. And then after having all the problems that I had this weekend, I actually reached out to everybody on Monday and said, or Sunday, and said, yo guys, I'm not going. Because I couldn't figure this out. I didn't know what was going on. So if this is working okay and I'm confident in it, then yeah, the trip's on. They're gonna go regardless. We've already paid for an Airbnb for the weekend. I don't know if it's a cop behind me or not. If we see lights soon, it's a cop. If we don't, it's not. One thing you'll notice, I didn't put the center dash back on, nor did I put the cups. And the reason why I didn't do that, if you're curious, even if you're not curious, I'm going to tell you anyway. I can reach the radiator cap and the reservoir cap with those cups off really easily. And I know I'm going to check these levels at least one more time before we call it good. So instead of removing and replacing them and removing them and replacing them over and over again, I'm just leaving them off. So that way it's easy access once I get ready to do it. No idea how far I'm going to go up this road. We're just going 80 miles an hour, 3,500 RPMs. So far, so good. We'll head up to State Road 54, which should be a nice little leg stretching for this bad boy. Well, Uncle Bo Gator was giving me fits, man. So if I didn't mention it, here's what I figured the problem was. And I don't even know what all I recorded, because I did a lot of Instagram stories in between doing shots of video. So if I'm repeating myself here, just bear with me. I'm old, you'll have to forgive me. It wasn't burping. And burping a radiator is not rocket science. It's a pretty easy process. If you've done a radiator before, you know it's pretty freaking easy. Now, I had a hard time with the funnel, so I couldn't make one of those kits work, but I've burped this radiator before, and the radiator on the 1200 without the funnel. Yeah, you spill a little bit that way, but oh well, it's not that bad. This time, it just wouldn't burp. It would get to the boiling point and start spitting coolant out. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on here, man? It was really pissing me off. I burned through 3 quarts of coolant all over my garage and driveway. Now it's back in nature, I guess, but after a bit, I cycled it, I let the fans come on, everything was fine. I buttoned it all back together, tried to burp it again, and this time I noticed the fans didn't come on, and I thought, you know, I almost overheated. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, I had a thought, and yesterday morning I talked it out with some of the guys on Shade Tree's Discord. I said, hey, if there's air stuck in there, is the air going to be cooler than the coolant? And could the air be tricking that sensor into thinking it's not hot enough to turn the fans on? And yeah, a couple guys agreed that could be the case. So I slowly filled her up, man, throughout the course of the day yesterday, and it was, you know, go down into the engine. You know, I'd let it run for a minute, let it get warm, not operating temperature, but not full operating temperature, but enough to where it would pull the coolant down into there. Add a little more coolant as the day went on, etc., until finally yesterday evening, that's when I said we're good to go. So I'm calling it good, man. I'm calling it good. And you know, in between Sunday and yesterday when I made that decision, I was looking up stuff on the internet about how necessary is this whole burping procedure anyway. And I was actually surprised that it's not 100% in favor of burping. I found plenty of, not articles, but people talking on forums, people who seem like they know what they were talking about. And I know internet forums, there's people, you know, talking shit, but a lot of times guys are experienced, and if I find several of them, there's got to be something to it. But a lot of guys were saying, I never burp anything, blah blah blah, and that wasn't just Goldwing information, that was just radiators in general. So it really made me question the absolute necessity of burping a radiator to begin with. I can already hear some of you guys are going to be die-hard against that. I'm willing to take that risk. You can be die-hard against it. If this thing works out fine, I'll take my luck on that any day of the week than fighting with this motherfucker any more than I have to. I love this motorcycle like with all my heart, dude, but I hate fighting it. Like, I was so tired of this motorcycle this weekend, you know what I mean? Here's State Road 54 right here. So at 80 miles an hour for almost 8 miles, no problem. We're going to turn Uncle Bo Gator around and poke her back towards the house. We've gone about 12 and a half, almost 13 miles. If you're watching the gauge with me, you'll see it has gone up a little bit over half, but that's what it always does. That's what Goldwings do. The fan doesn't kick on until it gets I won't say 3/4, but it's about that. So we're still within operating temperature. By the time I get back to the house, we should be right at 23, 24 miles. I think that's enough. If this thing acts right, I think that's going to be enough to tell me that everything's okay. So anyway, we'll get down to the house. I'll give you an update before I wrap this video up, but it's been a good one, man. We'll see you down at the house.
All right, boys and girls, that is going to wrap this one up. What an absolute saga with this thing, man. If I was a bard in real life, what do you guys think if I did like a Moto bard series where like I played ukulele or guitar or some shit and sang every now and then? I don't know, maybe that's dumb. I mean, everything I do is dumb. That'd just be on another level. So got back from lunch around 12:30 and let it sit till about 3. Check the fluid levels in both the radiator and the reservoir. Everything is absolutely perfect. No drops on the garage floor. I did bring it out here right now, wash it. It's kind of hard to tell because it's so old and just kind of dingy anyway, but who says you can't polish a turd? I mean, it doesn't look brand new, but I think it looks a lot better. It's a 95, right? I bet it hadn't been washed since 96, somewhere around there. Anyway, hey, I appreciate you coming along on this one. This has been a struggle. We've got a road trip in a couple days. I didn't know if I was going to make it or not. Got this thing all up and running just fine. I'm about to do a taste of Tampa tonight, so you'll probably see this shirt here soon again. But I really do appreciate your support, your continued support on these videos. And until next time, we'll see you later.